thing you have to do is you have to create an object of file writer. File writer fw is equals to new file writer f colon xyz dot text then here you just have to write fw dot write data. That's all. And internally fw file writer is using some sort of buffering, so you just need to write fw dot flush. Now if I run the same program, I will get the output. Okay, you have written the program using file reader and file writer. See here, file reader again, the same problem which we had in file input stream. Whenever I call fr.read, it is reading one character. So file reader, using file reader is not efficient, just like I am using file input stream. So what was there in input streams? Buffer input stream. Here also I am giving you a hint. There is something called as buffered reader. Now modify the same program to use buffered reader. Everything is similar to what you have done in buffered input stream. Modify the same program to use buffered reader and read from that file or write to that file. Modify the same program, you only do it. Now I am going to use buffered reader and buffered writer. New buffered reader. Buffered reader constructor. See, there are three. There is a constructor which is taking reader. It requires a reader. Reader is superclass. File reader is subclass. So I can pass file reader object here. Use of reader. So fr. Then I'll take it in a reference. Similarly, I'll try to create buffered writer. New buffered writer. It requires a writer object, so I can pass file writer object. Buffered writer bw is equals to. Now instead of reading from fr, I'll use br, buffered reader dot read. Here also buffered writer dot write. Here also br. Here also bw. That's all. I increase the efficiency. The output will be same, but efficiency is increased. If I run, the output is same. Okay? Any doubts? I want you to do a small modification to this program again. See, by using buffered reader, what I am doing? Buffered reader dot read method I am calling here. Buffered reader dot read method I am calling. It will read one character, right? Again, it's buffering, of course. But inside buffered reader, there is a method called read line. I want you to see the documentation. Buffered reader documentation, and there is a method called read line. It will read line by line from the file, right? Whenever I call read line, it will read first line. Second time if I call read line, it will read second line, and finally end of file is reached, it will return null. See the same from documentation. Now I want you to modify the same program or write in a separate program to read line by line and write line by line using buffered reader and buffered writer. Do the same program now. I want, instead of reading character by character, I want you to read line by line. I wanted you to read line by line. So here, instead of reading one character, I will say br dot read line. What is read line returning? If I keep my cursor here, it is returning string. So string line is equals to, I have read one line, and read line method, as I saw from the documentation, this read line method is returning null if end of the stream has been reached. So instead of checking for -1, I had to check for null. So while line not equals to null, null is a keyword, not equals to null. Okay, then I will print that line to the console and also to buffered writer, and then again I have to use line is equals to br dot read line. So here this program is reading line by line and printing it again, same mode. But let me run it and check whether I am getting the same output or not. Okay, here I didn't use println, I will use println. Now run it. Yeah, on the console I got the output whatever was there. I will show you the files abc.txt and xyz.txt in my F drive. xyz.txt, it's everything is in a single line. In abc.txt it was in line by line. Everything came in single line, because see here the read line documentation you have to read carefully. Read line returns a string containing the contents of the line, not including the line termination characters. So it will give you a line, but /n will not be there. Okay, will not include. So here when you are writing, whenever you are writing, why can't you write something like this plus /n? Okay, let me check. If I write /n, will it work or not? Okay, I'll open it again. Okay, I'll just run it again. No? Where is the /n? /n is not coming here. Okay, let me check it again. My system. So writing /n is not working, right? Yes, writer dot bw dot new line. There is a method called new line which we have to use. Okay, what we have to do is we have to write bw dot new line. Why? Because our Java program should be portable to different operating systems. In Windows, new line may be /n, but on Mac it may be /r, /n is nothing but the new line. So depending upon the operating system, new line character is different. In some operating systems, /n means new line. In some operating systems, /r, /n is a new line. So JVM, once I write my program, the output should be same whether you run it on Mac or Windows, right? So whenever you call bw.newline, it will introduce a new line character according to the operating system on which you are running. So whenever you want to write a new line, you have to use buffered writer dot new line. Okay. When talking about input streams, we have discussed about print stream. Why to use print stream instead of buffered output stream? Tell me. If you want to write primitive data types, there are convenient methods in print stream. Also, if you want to write format output, like in C, printf you want to use, you can use print stream, right? Similarly, here also in character streams we have something called as print writer. Okay, print writer can be used if you want to write formatted output or primitive data types. Now I will show you an example of how to use print writer. Okay, just see it now. I'm writing a new, or here only I'll modify. See here, I'm using print stream to write. I will comment this. Now I'll use new print writer. Print writer, there are a lot of constructors, overloaded constructors. There is a constructor which is taking file, which is taking output stream, which is taking string. This seems to be simpler, which is taking string, the file path. Okay, then I'll take print writer, which is taking string, the file path. I will pass the file path where I want to write f:/xyz.text. Print writer pw is equals to then pw dots. See, there are a lot of print methods. Just like in print stream there are print methods, here also there are a lot of print methods. There are print methods which is taking boolean, char, character, double float. Just like in print stream there are a lot of overloaded print methods. So if I want to print int, I can directly pass. I can use print method which is taking int I, or if I want to print characters, I can say pw dot print c. Okay, now I will run it. Let us see. XYZ is not writing anything because guess. Yes, print writer is in turn using buffering. So pw dot flush. Yes, 28. Now I want to write formatted output. Tell me. I can use printf just like I use for it. Printf is taking string, the format string, say %20d comma I. Now if I run, it will allocate 20 spaces and print write justified values. See, 20d. So what you understood? If you want to write primitive data types, or if you want to write formatted output, better to use print writer instead of buffered writer. So I don't see any case, any place where you can use buffered writer. Always it is recommended to use print writer instead of buffered writer. Okay, so wherever we are using, we can use print writer only. Okay, so writing objects to stream is called serialization. Reading objects from stream is called as deserialization. So now I'll show you how to serialize objects and how to deserialize objects. To write objects, there is a class called object output stream. To read objects, there is a class called object input stream. Reading and writing objects is very simple, but there are some issues, or you need to understand the concept of serialization. That we'll concentrate on. So for demonstration, what I will do is I will create a class called employee object. I will try to write employee objects into a file. Let us see what will happen. Okay, you can just listen now. First understand the concept, then you can type. New class employee. Okay, every employee will be having employee ID private int employee ID private string name private int salary, and I will give getters and setters for this employee. Source generate getters and setters. Okay, so now what I want to do simply is I want to create an object of employee and then serialize it. Okay, I am creating a new class. Write objects. I will take main. Here what I will do is I will just create an employee object for now. Employee is equals to new employee. Tell me one good name. E dot set ID. I will say. Set name. Tell me a name. Every time Varun I don't want. Okay. Shiva. Okay. No, not Shiva. Any other name? Prabhu. Who is Prabhu? E dot set ID. Employee ID. Suppose I will say 1 2 3 4 007 420. Okay, E dot set salary. Okay. Yeah, 10 crores. 10 means 10 crores. Good. Okay. Now I want to write this object. For writing object to stream, there is a class called object output stream. So I will try to create an object of that object output stream. New, see the approach. New object output stream. It requires what? Output stream. Now I want to write objects to a file. So I can pass file output stream. Output stream is superclass of all output streams. So new file output stream. That file output stream requires a file path. I'll pass f colon object out dot scr. Generally the convention is the serialized file, serialized objects is written into a file with extension scr, or you can use the dot text also, but that's the convention, scr for serialized files. Okay, it is throwing some exceptions. I'll throw it. Object output stream OOS is equals to, very simple now to write an object, OOS dot write object. There is a method called write object. Write object is taking object as parameter. Object is superclass of all, so I can pass employee object. Employee subclass of object. So I'll pass D. So now this employee Prabhu should be serialized. Okay. Let us see whether JVM will allow Prabhu to be serialized or not. Whether it likes Prabhu or not to be serialized. No, it threw an exception. Not serializable. So JVM is not allowing Prabhu to be serialized. Okay. So what did we understand? Yes, we understood that every object cannot be serialized. Every object cannot be written to string. JVM will not allow you. If JVM wants to allow an object to be serialized, that has to implement, that class has to implement an interface called serializable. Serializable is an interface. Yeah. See here, when a class is implementing an interface, generally we have to implement some methods present inside the interface. But serializable interface is not having any methods at all. Zero methods. Okay? But why should we implement interface? When it is not having any methods, is there any use? Generally we implement interface so that some of the methods declared inside that interface will be implemented by all the classes which are implementing it. So if an interface is not having any methods, I don't find any use in implementing it. Yes. So JVM should understand. I told JVM will not allow all objects to be serialized. So JVM should somehow know, oh, this object can be allowed to be serialized, right? So whenever we try to serialize an object, the JVM will check, is this object implementing serializable? If it is implementing, then it will allow that object to be serialized. Otherwise, it will not allow the object to be serialized. So what is the purpose of serializable interface? It will act like a marker. It will give some information to the JVM saying that, oh, this object can be serialized. So it is marking the JVM, we say. It is marking, this interface will mark this object to be serialized. Okay? Just like before you are coming to 780 here, this venue, how will the security identify that you are an employee of Accenture? By using your identity card. So this is marking you as this ID card is marking you as a employee of Accenture. If you don't have the ID, will he allow you? No, he'll throw you out of the venue. Okay, I don't have because so serializability. Whenever you are trying to serialize an object, here you are trying, this line will try to serialize. Whenever you are trying to serialize an object, JVM will check, is this object, the class for this object, is it implementing serializable? If yes, then only JVM will allow it to be serializable. Otherwise, JVM will not allow you to be serializable, object to be serializable, right? So if you want any object to be serializable, it has to implement serializable. Serializable is a marker interface, remember this. If somebody asks you, tell me an example of marker interface, serializable. Why serializable interfaces? When they are not having any methods, because it will indicate the JVM that this object can be serialized, right? It is marking the JVM, we say. Okay. Now I will try to run this program. Let us see whether it will serialize Prabhu now or not. Yeah, it has serialized, no exceptions. Let me see here, object out.ser. If I try to read it, open it, I cannot understand whatever it has written. JVM has written this, only JVM can understand whatever is present inside this object. We cannot read. Of course, you can make some information out of it. So Prabhu is the name of employee and all, but you cannot exactly read it, right? Now for reading it, what we have to do is we have to write another program using object output stream is for writing. For reading, tell me, object input stream. Okay, now I will write a separate program for reading. Now I serialized. Now I will write a separate program for deserialization. Clicking new class reading objects. Take main. New, for reading new objects, new object input stream. Object input stream requires an input stream. I need to read some file, right? So for reading, file input stream can be created. I can pass file input stream object. New file input stream requires string path. I'll give same f colon. What is the file name I use here? Object out.scr. This is throwing some exception, I'll throw it. Object input stream OIS is equals to now for reading OIS dot read object. Read object will read an object from this file and return you. What is the return type of it? Object. But we know that it is employee object. Can we typecast it? Yes. So I will typecast it to employee. This is throwing some exception, I'll throw it. Now I will try to print the employee's name. System.out.println e dot get name is there. System.out.println e dot get employee ID. Now I will run it. So it should print Prabhu 420. Okay. So it has read from the file. Let us try to understand what is happening during deserialization. It is very important to understand what is happening during deserialization. See here, at which line is deserialization happening? At this line. Whenever I say read object, reading object from stream is called deserialization. Means from the file object has to be read. Means employee ID, name, salary has to be read, and an object has to be created. Right? Here at this line OAS.read object, what it will do is it will read the contents of the employee present in that file. So let us try to understand what is happening. First thing what it will do is it will read from that file. Once it reads from that file, it will understand from that file it is the employee object which it is reading, right? There will be some information about what object it will be reading. So while reading, it understands that it is reading employee object. So what this method read object will do is it will try to load employee.class inside the JVM. First employee.class will be loaded. If the class is not found, it will throw an exception called class not found exception. If you have observed, it has thrown class not found exception. OIS.read object is throwing this exception, class not found, because whenever we call OIS.read object, it will try to read from that file. It will understand that I am reading employee object. So it will try to read employee.class from the class file. If that file is not found, it will throw class not found exception. Okay. Anyway, our employee.class is there in the class path. So it will load that employee.class. After loading, it will try to create an object of employee.class by using default constructor. By using default constructor, it will try to create an object of the class. So what happens if there is no default constructor in employee? If there is no default constructor in employee class, here tell me, is there a default constructor? If I don't give any constructor, there is a constructor which is empty, right? There is a constructor. Suppose if I give a parameterized constructor, generate constructor using fields. See now, here there is a parameterized constructor for employee. Is there a default constructor now? A constructor which is not taking any parameters, is it there now? No, because JVM will, because the compiler will write the code for default constructor only if you didn't give any constructors. If you have given any constructor, there will be no default constructor. If you want to both, what you can do? You can create a default constructor. Okay? Suppose if this is not there, you have only one constructor which is parameterized. Will deserialization be possible? No, because OIS.read object, what it will do? It will try to load employee.class in this case. It will try to create an object by using default constructor. But the default constructor, if it is not there, serialization will fail. So what you understood is, if you want to serialize or deserialize, there should be default constructor, otherwise deserialization will fail. Tell me, will serialization succeed? If there is no default constructor, will serialization succeed? Yes, serialization will succeed, but deserialization will fail. So if you want to deserialize, there should be default constructor. This is the first point to be noted. Okay? Okay, assuming that there is a default constructor, now I am not writing any constructor here. There is a default constructor. If I don't write, compiler will write a default constructor code, right? A constructor which is not having any parameter. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, once it's a OS.read object, it will load the employee class, it will create an object. What do you mean by creating an object? Memory will be allocated for all the instance variables, right? Memory will be allocated for all the instance variables. But immediately after memory is allocated for instance variables, what will be executed? Tell me. Immediately object is created. Immediately after object is created, what will be executed? Constructor will be executed. But during deserialization, constructor of this employee will not be executed, because if constructor is called, it will be having default values, right? But after serialization, what I want the values from the file. In the file, what is there in now? Prabhu and 420 and salary 10 is there. I want those values. But after object is created, if default constructor is executed, whatever values we assign inside the constructor will be assigned. We don't want that. So during deserialization, default constructor is not executed. That's the second point to be understood. Okay. Any doubts? So I'll revise. I'll just repeat. During deserialization, first this will load the employee class, then create an object, and during deserialization, after object is created, generally the constructor will be executed, but during deserialization, constructor will not be executed. Let me prove it. Here I will write a default constructor for employee here, and I will write system.out system trace SYST. Okay. Now what I will do is I will run write objects. I will create write objects. Okay, object is written. Now I will call reading objects. Yeah, see here. Did you see anything from the constructor? No. That means that constructor is not executed. So the point is constructor is not executed during deserialization. Any doubts? Okay, no doubts. Here, Prabhu is having a salary. I don't want, salary is very confidential. If while writing object, if salary is also written, somebody who can read that file can understand the salary of Prabhu, right? So I don't want to write some variables whenever I am writing the object. Salary should not be written when I write employee. So for that I have to make this variable as transient. If a variable is transient in an object, then when you are serializing this object, this will not be written. Okay. Let us see now. I'll just print system.out.println e.get salary. Okay. Now I have made this salary as transient, so salary should not be written. Okay, I am running this write objects again. Okay, and then I will read objects. What is the last one? Salary. It is expected to be 10, but now it is 0 because default value for int is 0. So if you make a variable transient, it is not serialized. Any doubts? That's about serialization. And in serialization, if we have to discuss, there are a lot of issues. That's not required as well. Okay. So we completed